If you love God Jesus, then listen to this entire story with all your heart, because it carries a divine message from the heart of Christ Himself. This is not just a story, it's a reminder from God Jesus about how we should love others. If this touches your heart, even for a second, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Because together, we're spreading the eternal love of God Jesus to the whole world. One soul at a time. It was a dry, burning afternoon in a small village called Nain. The wind was still. Dust rose in the streets. Silence followed a crowd, a funeral crowd. A young widow named Miriam had lost her only son. He was all she had left. No husband. No relatives. Her son was her world, and now he was gone. Her heart was broken. Her soul was tired. She had no one left to live for. As the villagers followed the dead boy's body on a stretcher, their hearts were heavy. But no one knew that something heavenly was about to happen, because at that very moment, God Jesus was walking into the village. God Jesus, the living embodiment of God's love, was traveling with His disciples. When He saw the funeral procession, He didn't look away. He stopped. He stood silently, watching the broken mother, the weeping friends, the lifeless body, and then, God Jesus, full of divine compassion, walked forward. He walked through the crowd and gently stood in front of the dead body. The people were shocked, but God Jesus was not like others. He wasn't just a preacher or prophet, He was God in human form, and He came not just to speak love, but to show it. He turned to the mother and said with His loving voice, "Do not weep." Those words didn't come from just a man. They came from God Jesus, who feels our pain deeper than anyone else. He then touched the stretcher. Everyone gasped. No religious leader dared to touch the body of the dead. It was considered unclean. But God Jesus, the one who made the universe, was not afraid to touch what the world called unclean. He placed His holy hand, the hand of God, on the stretcher and said, "Young man, I say to you, arise." At His word, not just a word, but the word of the living God, something divine happened. The dead boy's chest moved, his fingers twitched, and then his eyes opened. He sat up. The crowd was frozen in disbelief. Miriam ran forward, fell to her knees, and clutched her living son. She cried again, but now from overwhelming joy. God Jesus had not just brought her son back to life. He had brought hope back into her life. He had touched the dead and raised the living. He had shown what divine love looks like. That day, the villagers whispered among themselves, "God has visited His people." But the truth is, God Himself was standing among them. God Jesus didn't just bring a boy back to life. He taught us something far greater. He taught us, love is not about rules. Love doesn't wait for the right time. Love reaches out, even to the hurting, even to the broken, even to the untouchable. And this is the love God Jesus wants from us. You may wonder, how can we love like Him? The answer is simple. When you listen to someone without judging them, you love like God Jesus. When you forgive someone who wronged you, you forgive like God Jesus. When you serve the poor, care for the sick, or comfort the grieving, you walk in the footsteps of God Jesus. Love is not always easy, but love is always possible. When we let God Jesus live in our hearts, years later, the same God Jesus who raised the dead boy would be crucified by men He came to save. And even on the cross, in His last breath, He chose love. He looked at the soldiers and said, he looked at a thief and said, today you will be with me in paradise. He looked at his mother and said, behold your son. In his pain, he still loved, because that's who God Jesus is. He is love. Today, he is calling you and me to love the same way, not because it's easy, but because he loved us first, even when we were broken, even when we sinned, even when we had nothing to offer. God Jesus still loved us. And if we carry that love in our hearts, we don't just become followers of Jesus, we become instruments of God's love in this world. If this story moved your heart, even for a moment, then don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, because the world needs more love, and love begins with God Jesus. Let his love live in you, let his touch heal others. Through your kindness, your forgiveness, your actions, God Jesus loves you, always has. Always will. God bless you.